So, welcome back to another episode of MotoGP Max podcast. I'm here again tonight with Jake.
Hello, folks.
It is Sunday, what date? The 25th. We're just...
Yep.
Yeah, so Sunday the 25th. Just going to have a quick chat about the racing today in Japan. It kind of suited you time-wise, actually, today, didn't it, Jakey?
Yeah. I wasn't... 2 o'clock in the morning, it was pretty good for me, instead of 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I used to have to watch the FP1, FP2 warm-up, so I have to watch all night. By the time it runs around at 8 o'clock in the morning, I've been up all night, so...
Yeah.
2 o'clock race was like... That was great.
I struggled now getting out of bed at 4 a.m. I must admit. And I kind of fell asleep through Moto too. But it was a pretty strange race. It was a good race, but it was a pretty strange race in my opinion, And I suppose if we get on to one of the first talking points is dear old Jack.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely thrilled to see him. One of the funniest things with Jack is that apparently he was saying to one of the reporters during the week was that he's getting married after next weekend's race, and then obviously they're going to have an old session when he gets back to Australia for the race weekend. But he's like, the missus is buying loads of flowers and stuff, so a couple of podium bonuses would help me out on that. And he goes and wins, and what a win! I've never seen him. I was actually really worried because I thought, something, he's going to get very bored in a minute and he's going to fall off because his mind is going to go off and chase butterflies. He is that far ahead, no stress. And, it was like, for me, he was just like an exhibition ride. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, I was nearly getting him to wave to the fans as he was riding around, still with 10 laps to go.
I was worried about, remember when the last time they went out for the last minute, they went hard on the tires, and all the rubber's been taken off the track, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they're going out on with no numbers. I thought, is he going to lose the front end, like going out? Because he came out of the box flying. And he did. 2 races ago, he jumped out in the beginning and then dumped it. I thought, is this going to be a repeat of jumping out on a hard tire? And he just kept going and going. And after a while, I thought, oh, good. He's now the tire's warm.
The tire's warm now. Yeah. And look, normally Jack goes the soft tires, softer than most. So I hear you on that point. And it's quite strange of a change for him, but man, did it work? Or no, it was for me. It was like I was just like, I don't think I've ever seen. And his passes that he made, they were super clean on the brakes, but he was so late. And then, I think he was like half a second lap faster on average. Do you know what I mean? Than people. And it just.
Yeah.
And
normally when you don't have rubber, you go with a soft tire. When you have rubber, the norm is to go with the soft rubber to get the most grip because you don't have it on the track.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know how Ducati or Pecco's last minute tire changes go. This is number 5. 5 times out of 5 where he's changed the tire to last minute.
Yeah,
where it's at a foul. Yeah,
but it was just a very, very weird race. So I don't want to take anything away from Jack because an on form or today either. Do you know what I mean? They couldn't have raced him. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He was just. He reminds me of a road racer. An Aussie, what's his name? Bruce Enstein. And they always say about Bruce Enstein, right? Mm-hmm. That Bruce Enstein will wake up in the morning of a TT race or a road race and decide, I'm going to win it. And that's it. He'll go and win it. And they say, and it was just like Jack Miller decided in turn 2, he's like, I'm having this. Do you know what I mean? And he just went for it. But I suppose, Mark was a big surprise as well today. I was like,
phenomenal.
He dropped to the soft tire from the hard tire, and I was like, Jesus. What I actually thought he was going to do, or what his plan was, is that he was going to try and take off, build a gap for the first 5 or 6 laps, and try and manage it out from there.
Yeah, that's as usual.
Yeah. But like going from a hard rear tire to a soft. Now I don't know was that always their intention, but they went out on a hard rear tire just because that's what everyone was doing, you know.
True. He went from hard, then he changed it to medium, then he went to soft.
Yeah,
you know that.
Now he's still racing that aluminium chassis or aluminium swing.
Yeah,
Pole is not. Right, so
big and shiny.
It's big and shiny, right? You would think at this stage they would have anodized it black or something. Do you know what I mean? To try and confuse people,
at least.
or carbon wrapped it, got high temperature wrap or something. But I know, like there is absolutely no doubt that swing arm works and works better than the carbon one.
Okay. It's the bike's still a pig, though. Let's not kid anybody.
It's still a pig, but I can guarantee you it turns an awful lot better than the one with the carbon swing arm. Do you know what I mean?
Marquez just that much better than everybody else. I mean, he's just Marc Marquez. He's the fastest rider there's ever been. I mean, that's what makes him so great. You look at it and say, the bike's a pig, but he still wins. That's his whole career. Best rider, crappiest bike. He's been doing that for a decade now.
Yeah. But look, I was more so surprised with the lap times that while there was a drop off, it wasn't as big as I expected it. He did take a couple of laps where he dropped 8 or 9 tenths of a second. It's fine. Do you know what I mean? But towards the end of the race, he managed the tire, which I don't think he would have done with the other swing arm, if I'm honest.
Right.
He was able to manage and save the tire, and then have a crack off Oliveira again towards the end and pass him for the 4th place. So for me, like, I was just, I was a bit. He surpassed my expectations, but if Miller didn't ride as hard as he did, Mark would have been my rider of the day. Now, I did find it interesting after, because he did say, he's like, I was very, very tired on the bike. You know what I mean? And physically, I was tired, but I wasn't in pain.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing there, that he wasn't in pain when he was riding. He was tired. He's still not 100% fit, but I think he's in a happier place. Now, he did say, though, something that's very crucial. On a fast lap in the dry, he's still not comfortable on the bike to do that.
Look what he's dealing with. Like I said.
No, his hand and his arm and his body, him-wise, not bike-wise.
Okay.
I mean? So him-wise, he's still not there yet to go for the ultimate fast lap. And when I saw that he had an off in warm-up this morning, I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!"
I didn't see that. No.
He lost the front.
He saved it a couple times during the race. They didn't show it. I saw him at the end of the pickup. They picked it up. I'm like, "Oh shit, he's going to go down."
Yeah,
you know?
He did a Marquez.
He was pushing hard. I mean, he wasn't going to give it any more without going down. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I suppose let's talk about some of the weird stuff that happened.
What about
during
KTM?
the race.
Look how well KTM and Binder did.
Yeah. But that doesn't that show you how much of a weird and oddly weird race it was?
Yeah, it was strange.
And
because you don't know with KTM, did they have where they got their settings dead spot on, which you have to do with the Steel Trailers chassis, or did they actually make a gain? Where a lasting gains that go in the next track and the next track where it'll still be there.
Yeah, and that's I think that's the $10,000 question, isn't it? Because like if and like let's talk about Fabio and long story short of Fabio's race, he started 9th, he finished 8th.
Yeah.
He made 1 place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And when you look at that, right, that never happened. When you look at Pecco before he crashed,
right,
he'd made 3 places.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just, you're just like, what in the like, I know the track was green, right?
Yeah.
Marquez was on a soft tire. Miller was on a hard tire. Even if they were on the medium tire, they still should have had some sort of performance. But it was just so like Fabio was just like
water.
Exactly. Fabio said it was all down to the tires. I went the wrong way in the tires, and that killed my race. And then Pecco, in my view, Pecco got a bit greedy.
Oh, a lot greedy.
And I just think, you know, that's the final little bit of knowing, like, he knew his front tire was overheating, right? And he knew Bastianini was pushing him, which is fine. But with like 5 laps to go, he suddenly found pace. You know what I mean? Like, Fabio's fastest lap during the race was 0.8 of a second behind Miller's, right? And Pecco's was like half a second behind Miller's fastest lap.
Yeah.
But towards the end, Pecco found grip. He says he cooled down his front tire, or the pressure was lower or whatever. And then he went for it because he felt that he could get Maverick. Now, I was sitting there when I was reading this, and I was like, no way you could have got Maverick. You were on the last lap of the race. You could have barely got past Quartararo.
Right.
Maverick was half a second up, or maybe 0.7 of a second up the road from Fabio. You weren't getting him.
No. There was 2 laps to go, and he was almost a second behind. And I'm going, every time they went past the corner, they're going, he made 0.3 up in this corner. He made 0.2 up in this corner. I'm going, holy crap. He's trying to make up time in leaps and bounds. This is starting to look like a disaster.
Exactly. You know, and like,
you see it coming.
Is it better to lose 2 points to Quartararo than the now 8 points? Yep. Now, I think there is probably, in my view, ruptions in Ducati at the moment.
And there should be.
Right? Like, the Beast and Pecco were going at it ding-dong, fucking each other over, slowing each other up, wearing out each other's tires for the sake of a point, right? And, you know, it does remind me of a couple of bad rivalries that have happened in the past. Rossi, Lorenzo.
Lorenzo's first one I thought of too. That's thinking of mine.
I actually thought Marc Marquez in Malaysia fucking each other when he was fucking at Rossi. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
And Sleep actually asked me today, and he's like, "What do you think of it?" And I said, "I actually think it's a Dovizioso and Iannone thing all over again in Ducati, and it's just going to end up an absolute nightmare for Ducati to manage." Now, the Beast, like, I don't mind the Beast winning. I don't care, right? But it just seems a little bit stupid that Ducati are going to then go away and race. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah. Now, instead of being even if you look at it, right, if your man had won the other day, he'd be 13 points behind. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm just like, are they just shooting themselves in the foot because they don't want to manage the riders? Yeah. Now, Pecco could say all he wants to that, you know, I don't want team orders, right? And I mentioned this a couple of days ago, because that would be a great psychological advantage for Bastianini to say, if Pecco won the championship, you know, it's like when a cop pulls you over for speeding on the bike, and he rolls up next to you and he says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And you'd say, "Because I let you." It's the same thing for Fabio, or it's the same thing for Pecco. Pecco might win the championship, but Bastianini will turn around and say, because I let you. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So there's the thing. And I think his pass on Bastianini was a bit of trying to take back the thunder from last week because it was a very, very tight pass that he did on Bastianini.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a bit of chaos in Ducati at the moment. And I also thought it was very funny. Now, I don't know, was it a joke or was it something serious? Because I know your man, who was it, Domenicali, who was the CEO or the main man of Ducati. But Tardazzi or one of those was in. Yeah, he was in the garage and he went in to congratulate Bastianini in the last race for winning. He said, well, let me congratulate you for winning or whatever. And next minute, he's like, you'll get a rap on the knuckles later. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know was that meant in a joke or was it like, anyway, but, you know, I think Pecco and Fabio really underperformed today, right? And it was just, I've seen it happen to one title contender that they just have a bad race. Do you know what I mean? But like 3 of them.
And Pecco, when I say it, many a word of truth is said in jest. Every time Pecco does a last minute change for tire change, right? It's 5 out of 5. He has had a horrible race. He second guesses himself when he gets to a certain point. Yeah, what I call survival races. We have races where there's a problem, where it's not everything isn't smooth. Like you have, you know, mud on the track, or you're burning up tires, or you know, it's virgin asphalt, that type of thing. He starts to get.
Ooh.
He starts to second guess himself, and that's a game you can't second guess yourself. Always go with your first gut reaction.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it made a difference this time, but you know.
Yeah, look, I think like it's probably clear what he said was that his tire or his front tire specifically was overheating and was too high pressure. That's probably from being behind someone all race, but that was probably also because he was acting around with the beast. Like if he couldn't hold him, he should have let him go. Try to tow up to the back of Fabio. Do you know what I mean? Cool off his tires. Think about it. Now look, it's easy to say sitting in a chair here, but like he is a professional as well. Do you know what I mean? Like if it's not your day and you're fighting for a world championship, you take the points. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I think Fabio's going to win, because not only is he consistent, he knows when to take points. He knows when to call it a day. You know, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug.
But I think you're right. But I think that Bastianini is causing the problem. If Bastianini,
he sure as hell
he's in his head, I think.
Yeah.
I think Bastianini is like he is more interested in Bastianini than Fabio, right now. I think that's what it is. And you know, like he said that he's not worried about Fabio, that he's just thinking of winning races. I don't know. Like if you're trying to close in this championship on a person, right? You think about the person. Joe, if he's finishing 5th, you want to finish 4th. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to go win the race. Do you know what I mean? If you can't.
And he was thinking about Fabio when he was trying to make up all that time at the last 2 laps. Don't tell me he wasn't thinking about making it up. Because for 2 points, he's thinking about, I'm going to pass. I want him. He's not thinking. He's just thinking. He goes, I want to go and I want to pass Fabio too much in this case. You know, too much.
But I think that's where it was, though. I think he was still feeling the pressure from Bastianini because he's behind. That's why he was trying to make that jump. He said that he felt that he could get Maverick. There wasn't hope on the last lap he was going to get Maverick,
right? And
he crashed on the last lap.
What was with after he crashed? He started clapping to himself, Pecco.
Yeah, well, I would tend to do this and clap and go, "Well done, dopey motherfucker."
Yeah, that's how he was doing.
Yeah. Because the commentators at the time thought that he was clapping at Fabio for maybe slowing up or whatever. But no, it was more so that he was congratulating himself for being a fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah, look, it has. We've all done stupid things. I suppose we talk about a little bit of another weird thing that happened during this whole Grand Prix, and that was Aleix Espargaró having to start from the pit lane.
That poor guy. He couldn't make out in a woman's prison with a carton of cigarettes. I mean,
that was just.
I was waiting to hear all these people going and lying through their teeth, going, "It was ride height. It was ride height." I'm like, "No, it's not ride height." They jumped them automatically. I'm like, "No, it wasn't ride height. It was the mapping, the fuel mapping." So apparently he said that when they do their outlap to the grid, there's a fuel mapping that won't let them. It uses a reduced amount of fuel because they can't refuel on the grid, and it won't let them go over 100 kilometers an hour. Okay.
So when they get to the grid, they put in the race map. Or whatever it is to shut that off. And someone forgot to shut that off. So you can imagine. Now, Aleix turned around after the race and he was like, I knew. And then there was the other thing is that when he came in to change over bike, I don't know, he dumped the bike on the ground. Right? Got onto the other bike and he's like, I knew the minute I got onto that bike that this race was going to be crap and I wasn't going to do anything because that bike had the medium rear tire in it and not the hard.
So he did know it. Because the announcer said he didn't know the difference. He didn't know it.
He knew it. He knew it, yeah. He knew that it had the medium tires.
Question. So, when you say that the mapping, the outlap mapping, that somebody didn't turn it off, right?
Yep.
Now that you're saying that's done in the pits, not by the rider.
No, it's done in the pits. Yeah, it's not an override from the rider because it would just confuse the system then because he'd have pit lane limiter, he'd have outlap limiter or whatever. So they put that on just to go out to the thing. So that also stops them having crashes.
Okay. All right.
So,
you know me, Mr. Tech guy. I love tech. So
it just limits the power, limits the fuel consumption because they can't refuel on the grid. So they want to use as little fuel on that rollout lap. Makes sense. But yeah, it was just a bad, I suppose, turn of events for him. 25 points behind Quartararo now with just a couple of races to go. Is again, it just makes life hard for him when it shouldn't have been. I suppose one other person that I do want to talk about is Taka. Now I know he finished last of the runners, but fuck it, he finished. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think, he had the crash yesterday down on the right hand side. I was like this when I saw it. I was like, oh God. Do you know what I mean? And he kept a hold of the bike.
Yeah.
And I was just like, leave it go, please leave it go. And and look, he finished. So look, it was good to see him finish, especially his home race. Those ones always mean a lot. So yeah, but yeah, Brad Binder and the two KTMs.
Yeah,
let's see, can they do it next week?
Yeah, and you notice they still got that Ballong exhaust. Ugly as sin that comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the one that Ducati had ditched, but then they had their mapping was screwed up at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
It was too abrupt, but it gave them power, and you notice that the KTM has more power. I wonder if it's because of that exhaust.
Yeah, it's definitely something
ugly as sin, but
it looks a little bit like a wheelbarrow. It's just. If you look at it from the exhaust side, it's like a wheelbarrow, but it looks like some kid
added it on. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do with this long piece? Now just stuff it on there.
Yeah, it's like let's put on a big fucking fart can onto the end of my bike. Yeah. No, I was impressed by Binder, actually. Do you know what I mean? He is very, very quick. It's a pity he's on
Yes.
a KTM bike. If I'm very, very honest, I think it just doesn't do him justice. So hopefully next year's bike is somewhat better. Yeah, and look, they have a lot of people coming from Ducati next year into KTM. So I do think that's going to be quite interesting.
I'm surprised that. Why does everybody grab everybody off at Ducati? They must pay through the nose.
Well, okay, so you take like your man Guidotti wanted to bring in a Ducati rider. Makes sense that I would have thought, right? So technically they're bringing in a Ducati rider and a Honda rider. Okay.
Okay.
So 2 bikes, in my view, that Honda's not great, but it has a good engine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they good engines. You got to get
so
that.
like they're looking at V4 counterparts of opposition teams of the Ducati's engine handles like this, the Honda handles like this. This is what so there is a good bit of comparison there. But the riders, and Stoner actually brought this up during the week, the riders don't fully understand the mechanical workings of the bike. They have the theory, but so much is covered with electronics now that it makes, in my view, it makes a lot of sense to bring in one of the chassis guys or one of the engine guys or whatever from opposing teams, so you get an understanding of how, like, if I was building a bike, I would try to copy what Ducati are doing, because that's or Aprilia, because that is very successful in right now. So if you can get an understanding of how they can build their frame or their suspension or their aerodynamics, and you have a rider that's able to tell you what the difference between the feeling between your chassis and that chassis.
Yeah.
I think, maybe not in 2023, but 2024 could be a big, big year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't happen overnight anymore. It's not like the old days.
This is and I think that's why they signed Jack on a 2-year deal. And Jack was like, because Jack knew, I'm going to get off at Ducati and onto a lipstick on a pig.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's like, okay, well.
Ironically, Jack has stated, I saw him in an interview, he goes, I don't look at the data on my bikes. I'm horrible at setup. Did you hear him say that? Yeah.
But that's fine because, like Bastianini is going to struggle. Well, Bastianini will have some struggles next year because he has to have a new chief engineer. And Bastianini can't set up a bike either. It's the engineer knows. It's actually Dobby's ex-Ducati engineer is who the Beast has right now. So, like, he knows the bike for years, so through the whole evolution.
Right.
But that knowledge is walking out the door, do you know what I mean, with your man. So it's going to be interesting to see how
he adapts
to that. And it is right that, I think anyway, a rider shouldn't 100% know how a bike works, but he should be very clear in how it feels.
Yeah.
And Jack is
back to the engineer.
And Jack is very good at giving that information back. Do you know what I mean? It feels like this, or it's pushing in turn 1 or whatever, right? And he can bring that, and it's the engineer's job to go and dial that out. Does that feel better? Yes or no? Don't overcomplicate this shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Does it work? No. Yes. No. Maybe.
I don't think Pecco should be allowed to pick tires at all. They should just go, okay, Michelin man, what tires should we put on here? Pecco, ride it, okay? None of this for changing tires shit,
They should just turn around. They should just turn around and say, Pecco, there's only this tire. We use the others. Yes. You have to use this tire.
Yes.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Okay, but no, look, I think it's kind of a whole interesting segment that you could do on Pecco and his tire choice. But I don't know. I think after the drama of last week, I think we were all still kind of a bit yuppity. And this race then, while the race was good, don't get me wrong, it was a bit flatlined because it was a bit of a procession, just say. Without thing, but like there wasn't really the aggressive passing, or there wasn't really what we saw in Aragon last week, I suppose, maybe with the whole dramas. But again, look, we have a race again this weekend in Thailand. I will be streaming that again all weekend.
And what do you think about Fabio, though? By the way, we missed him.
Fabio, I was just a little bit underwhelmed by him today, I suppose. So, I mean, he didn't seem to come out with his same fight. Now, he did say that he was on the wrong tires, but like, one place gained. Do you know what I mean? And like, I dare even say that Morbidelli and Crutchlow had a better race than him.
Yeah, they pumped up that testing, the testing results, and I did hear him say that they were talking to a crew chief, and they said, well, the new chassis, the old chassis with less horsepower handles better than the new chassis with added horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to make an adjustment there. It's not with the new chassis. It can handle more horsepower, so they can turn those maps up, which they couldn't before. Okay, but it just doesn't handle. He has to put a little more effort into it to get through the corners. He's not doing. It's not as don't have that mid corner speed that it had before. But that makes sense. Anytime you add horsepower to a chassis, it affects it.
Yeah, but look, it's a new chassis as well, right?
Yeah,
so there's a lot of critiquing that they still need to do. Like if it felt the exact same as the previous chassis, they're fucked. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If it feels different and they can't and they can't get the performance out of it, that's fine in my view anyway, because that means that they have space to engineer that in. But I don't know. I just thought like he is the biggest winner today. Never mind Jack Miller and whatever. Do you know what I mean? With Pecco crashing, Aleix having that issue, you know, he's extended his championship lead. He's 18 points ahead of Pecco, and he's 25 points ahead of Aleix, and it's just most crap race of it. So I think it's quite interesting how that race had gone off.
I couldn't hear you there for a while, but the other thing, by the way, was the Suzuki that blew up. You saw that?
Oh, boom!
Boom, boom. That was not a ride hype. Just to make
that was definitely not ride hype. No. And John makes it even worse. He didn't even know it. He got up in smoke. Like
it is kaboom.
Till he got off it.
That is kind of what I could just see the Yamaha engineers going, oh shit, I hope that isn't us next year. Because it's both have the inline four, and you put more horsepower in the inline four, they don't like it.
Yeah.
You know that
I
starts flexing, and that's what happens. Yeah.
I was just
sprint race to it. So
I was just looking at it, and I was like going, what a country for that to happen. Every single big boss. I know they're going to win the championship at the end of the year, but there's still big bosses were there this weekend, right?
Yeah.
In loads of invited guests. And do you know what I mean? And then Rins had to stop. There was something wrong with the front end of the bike. He just couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I was just looking at it. And then I suppose, look, Yamaha's bigwigs were there as well. And then Jarvis actually said it on the grid. He's like, we have a bit of pressure on that. We have the chairman here and a lot of invited dignitaries from Japan.
Uh-huh.
And they finished 8th.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, but no, look, Fabio, he is the overall winner of today in my view, because he extended his championship lead. Very disappointing.
Did you pay the electric bill?
I did pay the electric bill, but I don't know. I think the wife.
She turned the lights off on you.
I know, yeah.
Flashing.
That's it. Jesus, the old price of electricity these days.
Yeah, we're gonna see the better half. You know what I mean? I'm gonna see the woman who puts up with you.
She's well in bed and sleeping all at this stage, my man. Yeah, look, I'll go editing this after, and it'll be an hour or so before I get to bed. Yeah, but look, I am looking forward to next weekend's race, though. So 3 in the bounce is quite a lot, and then we have Australia. Then I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we have Malaysia, and then Valencia. That's what
I always wonder why they end at Valencia. It's kind of like
It's actually a great track to spectate at.
Oh yeah, I heard that. It's a great track to spectate at, but it's not a really good track. It's old and
yeah. But like it's a bowl, so wherever you are, you can see the whole circuit.
Oh really?
Yeah. So it's quite interesting, to be there. And it's not a bad flight from Ireland either. So look, it's been quite. Yeah, I still don't really know what to make of today's race, though. It's still hard to process it. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't that exciting of a race, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it was kind of like amateur day or something. It's like the script was flipped. Everybody was in the back, was in the front, and everybody's front was in the back.
Yeah, and I suppose when we look at the weekend as well, it kind of gave us an understanding of what it's going to be like next year for the sprint races. You could definitely see people were missing the FP3 and FP4 practices. So they really did miss them. Now, look, I know certain things happened that this got in the way, but it's definitely,
like I said, we need open testing. Would help out a lot, and take the weights off. There's no point to have that extra ballast on the back. That ballast could be taken off. It costs no money, right? Then they'd be the same weight as a Moto 2 bike, so it'd be easier transfer. If we're having problems with tires, why make it harder with the extra? What's the difference between a Moto 2 bike and a MotoGP bike? Yeah. One's 140 and one is 154.
So it's not a lot of weight,
but all you have to do is take that ballast off. Because at speed you're going down to 200 mile an hour. That 40 pounds becomes 400 pounds. It would really save the tires a lot.
Yeah. Well, look, as long as every bike is the same weight, then you're fine. Do you know what I mean? That's the other thing. I think that balance is in there in another way to reduce a bit of cost, right? Because I listened to this one. So I know from F1, right?
Right.
The average price to reduce a kilo is $1 million per kilo reduced.
Okay. Oh no! But this is just extra weight. All they have to do is unbolt it. It
is extra weight, but it is an extra weight to ensure that all the bikes are similar weight.
Well,
so I could actually engineer my bike to have 1 kg on the back there.
If you wanted to go over the minimum weight, yeah. But all you'd have to do is say, okay, everybody's minimum weight is now X, because we're all taking away the same amount of weight.
I know, yeah.
Cost zero. Practically, I know you have to do some remapping, but
let's just say, for example, if you wanted, like Marquez, to have a bike that has more front end bite, you could add a little bit more weight towards the front of the bike when you're engineering the bike first day.
Yes.
Right. And say, okay, we'll make the front part of the frame 2 kilos heavier than we know it needs to be. Do you know what I mean? But we can put the weight where we want to put the weight. That means then instead of having to put 14 kilos at the back, we can put 12.
Yeah, but you're still doing that with the weight or not the weight if you have that preference.
Oh, I know, yeah. But if I built the frame, just say like that, I'm going to veto that straight away. Do you know what I mean? Because now I have to re-engineer my chassis, right? So that's where I go to, like, it could drive. if you did it at the start of the season for next year's technical regulations, that they could build to that regulation, absolutely, I think that would definitely work.
They put it up twice, and all the manufacturers wanted it, of course, but Honda didn't because they had Marquez. They wanted everything status quo.
Yeah.
So that's where that went. But we don't want to go down that road again. But it's just, it's you know, it's just a little something to make it easier for everybody. It just seems a very simple way to help out the tire situation, because tires have made leaps and bounds as it is. It's hard to ask Michelin to go, okay, make another leap and bound after you've done so much already.
Yeah, look, it's like, I know Michelin make a lot of money, but it's still an expensive project because like all teams get their tires free.
Right. Exactly.
So anyway, look, it's definitely something that we could talk about for hours, but I think we'll wrap it up there for today. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining.
That was fun.
We will, sure. Look, we have another race this weekend, so we will catch up again. We'll have another chat after that race, and I guess we'll see everyone again this time next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
That's it. Have a good one, guys, and thanks again, Jake, for joining.
Take it easy, Bruce. I hope I sound better this time. We keep readjusting for you guys.
Yeah, we're a work in progress.
Yeah.
Anyway, peace out. Have a good one.
Take it easy.
I just want to take a minute to also thank you for watching my videos and the support that you've shown so far. If you haven't subscribed already and you would like to subscribe, it would mean an awful lot to me if you did. I'm starting this channel realistically so that we can all enjoy MotoGP together, with the aim of streaming a live video when the GP races are on.